So imagine the following scenario. Your PC and his allies have a ritual to stop. You've got 1 hour. No time for a short rest, and though you did bring a prayer of healing or a cat nap if you're playing 2014 to get a 10-minute short rest, you're going to have to use it strategically. You've penetrated the complex and engaged their forces. After the first battle, you're doing all right because you've got a strong front line that does a lot of damage, but they've taken quite a bit of damage in return. One guy especially does a lot of damage, and once the enemy figured that out, they started targeting him, so he is particularly low. It's a little early to pop your prayer of healing to get that 10-minute short rest. What are you going to cast? Well, I'm here today to make the argument that you could do a hell of a lot worse than casting Regenerate. This, to me at least, is a surprisingly powerful spell. One of my allies actually cast it in a recent adventure, and I gotta be honest, I'm guilty of poo-pooing the spell. I was like, all right, buddy, it's your 7th level slot, do with it what you want. Regenerate, though? All right. And it was surprisingly effective. I was very impressed by the spell, and so I wanted to do a deep dive on it and share with the rest of you exactly how good Regenerate really is. So let's take a look at the spell. I've put a description of it on the screen. It is a 7th level transmutation available to bards, clerics, and druids. Casting time 1 minute, range of touch, duration of 1 hour with no concentration. And a creature you touch regains 48 plus 15 hit points. For the duration, the target gains 1 hit point at the start of each of its turns, and any severed body parts regrow after 2 minutes. This is pretty much exactly the same as in the 2014 rule set. I'll put that description up on the screen, and you can see the only difference is that the 2014 version allowed you to instantly reattach severed limbs by holding them together. And that is missing in the 2024 version, so, a teensy bit of a nerf there, I suppose, but more or less the same. It does have to be cast out of combat. It is a 1-minute casting, so you're not going to be doing this in combat, but no concentration for 1 hour is amazing. That adds up over the course of the hour to 600 hit points. That's a lot, right? Your fighter friend only has so many hit dice, and so over the course of an hour for him to get back 600 hit points is fantastic, right? No concentration on this spell. It's not going to get disrupted. It's just going to keep going and going and going. And while it might not seem like much, I definitely recall when my ally cast it recently that a lot of people were laughing, but hey, don't forget your 1 hit point at the start of your turn. And I honestly was thinking, 1 or 2 hit points can make a big difference, right? We've all been at that point where we're like on 1 hit point and still chugging along, putting out that damage, doing our thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4 hit points over the course of a battle is nothing to sneeze at. But then once you're finished, man, that is really amazing. That's 100 hit points per 10 minutes. So when you cast that prayer of healing and get a 10-minute short rest, well, knock off 100 healing for the Regenerate guy right away. Say it's 5 minutes from one battle to the next. Hey, here's 50 hit points. That is a lot of hit points, and surprisingly good because the value of that 1 hit point per round increases the lower you get in hit points, and it maximizes when you're at 0. That's the true strength of a Regenerate spell. When you are knocked down to 0, you just get right back up at the start of your next turn. No death saves, because both occur at the start of your next turn, and when 2 occurrences have the same time, the player gets to choose, so obviously you're going to choose to get your hit point back before you roll a death save. And if you're starting at 0, it's pretty awesome to get 1 hit point back. Now, enemies can kill you while you're down by striking at your unconscious body, and it's problematic because those attacks are crits. You can pair this with casting it on someone that has adamantine armor, and that's going to make it more difficult for enemies to kill them. And it goes turn by turn, right? So if any allies have a turn before an enemy has a chance to kill him, they can protect him with something even as simple as a minor illusion cantrip of like a stone barrel or something over the top of the body. So that is a really strong way of keeping your damage dealer in the fight, even if he gets really low, all the way down to 0. It's almost like an infinite death ward. Not as good, but kind of like that, right? So on its face, Regenerate is a really strong spell. Now, the opportunity cost of casting a Regenerate is casting a different 7th level spell. And so I thought it would be of value to take a look at the Bard, Cleric, and Druid spell list to see what other 7ths they have as potential competitors to casting Regenerate. I should first mention that, of course, you can upcast certain spells. If you want to upcast Spirit Guardians or some such, that might make sense. Though Spirit Guardians has a 10-minute duration and Regeneration has a 1-hour duration, so it's not going to help you in as many battles. But for the moment, I just want to look at the 7th level spells available to the classes that have Regenerate available. Starting with Bard, they get Etherealness, Force Cage, Mirage Arcane, Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion, Mordenkainen's Sword, Power Word Fortify, Prismatic Spray, Project Image, Regenerate, Resurrection, Symbol, and Teleport. Okay, I am not seeing too many competitors here to Regenerate. Power Word Fortify is pretty solid. That's 120 temporary hit points that you can divide amongst your party or put all of them on the one guy. But 120 is not as much as 600, and it also isn't going to be bringing you back from 0 over and over, so I would probably have to give the edge to Regeneration over Power Word Fortify. Mordenkainen's Mansion, that's concentration, that's going to affect only one battle. It's only an average of 26 damage per strike on a bonus action. That's not super amazing. Force Cage, that took a pretty big nerf in 2024. It's concentration now, and it consumes its 1,500 gold piece component, so really expensive and not really much better than Wall of Force in most cases, right? You're only going to pull that out in case the enemy that you want to encapsulate has a teleport. So Etherealness, no. Mirage Arcane, you can't cast that in combat. Prismatic Spray is a decent blast, but overpowered or overpriced for 7th level, right? Resurrection, Revivify is just as good. Symbol, that's not a combat spell. Teleport, you're not taking that. Regenerate doesn't look so bad if you're a bard. Of course, bards do have magical secrets, so maybe you took a wizard 7th level spell or something, but still, I think Regenerate looks pretty good compared to a bard's alternatives. Looking at clerics, they get Conjure Celestial, Divine Word, Etherealness, Firestorm, Plane Shift, Power Word Fortify, Regenerate, Resurrection, and Symbol. A lot of overlap with the bard list. Conjure Celestial, okay, that one's a really good spell, and it lasts 10 minutes. You might get more use out of Conjure Celestial than a Regenerate. I personally probably would take Conjure Celestial over Regenerate if you're a cleric, but none of the others really impress me that much. So you could easily take Regenerate, and I'm not going to make faces at the caster. Looking at Druids, they get Firestorm, Mirage Arcane, Plane Shift, Regenerate, Reverse Gravity, and Symbol. Firestorm is a blast, probably not worth 7th level. Reverse Gravity is a similar blast that also takes up your concentration, but usually you drop your concentration like right away, right? But it's going to interrupt any other concentration spell that you might have. Yeah, I'm not really seeing a whole ton of really great alternatives to Regenerate amongst the 7th level options for Bard, Cleric, and Druid, so yeah, Regenerate. It's a pretty darn good spell. I am pretty new to figuring out exactly how good it is, and I wanted to share with you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You like Regenerate? Is it a really good spell? Is it a waste and you would much rather cast a Firestorm or something? Let me know, and regardless, thank you so much for watching. This has been Bill Bronze and Dragons. I'm your host, Bill from Bafflestone. See you next time.